At 10:47 a.m. local time, deep in the contested waters of the Black Sea, a single screaming anomaly appeared on the USS Gravely's radar. The Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer callsign Hammerhead was conducting a routine freedom of navigation operation 80 nautical miles from the Crimean Peninsula, a digital line in the sand that Moscow considers its own. Below decks, in the steel-gray silence of the Combat Information Center, or CIC, the Tactical Action Officer, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen, watched a single high-speed contact close the distance from the northeast. Its transponder was silent, its intentions hostile. The contact, initially traveling at 500 knots, suddenly accelerated to 1.4 times the speed of sound, a full Mach 1.4 closing at nearly a mile every 3 seconds. It was a Russian Aerospace Forces Sukhoi Su-30SM Flanker H operating at an altitude of 3,000 ft already within the Gravely's defensive perimeter. The pilot's voice filtered through static and aggression crackled over the emergency maritime frequency. American warship, you are violating the Russian defense zone. Turn back now or be destroyed. That was the provocation. But the true explosion didn't happen in the sky. It happened on the Gravely's tactical displays. As the Russian pilot's radar went active, locking onto the U.S. warship in a definitive hostile fire control track, the entire Aegis Combat System instantly shifted to its highest state of alert, its digital brain calculating a perfect intercept solution in under 400 milliseconds. The crew barely had time to brace before the deep, resonant, and automated voice of the Aegis system announced the inevitable preemptive counter-move target classified. Weapon solution available. This confrontation was not random. It was the inevitable clash of two competing global orders. For the USS Gravely DDG-107, its mission was to project absolute technological deterrence to ensure that the global commons remained free and open, a principle upon which $19 trillion of annual global trade depends. In the wake of Russia's revanched aggression, the Black Sea had become a hotbed where every patrol, every radar sweep, and every radio message was a strategic maneuver in a geopolitical game of chicken. The stakes were nothing less than the credibility of the entire NATO alliance. The Russian objectives were simple: to harass, intimidate, and gather intelligence on the Gravely's reaction time and electronic signatures, testing the resolve of the American crew. They believed they could execute a high-risk, low-consequence maneuver, a test-the-fire approach, without triggering a lethal response. Their playbook called for the Su-30SM to scream past the destroyer's bow, forcing the U.S. crew to break radio silence or divert course, allowing Russian electronic intelligence Eli vessels hidden just beyond the horizon to record the Gravely's precise, defensive electronic posture. But the Russian pilot was operating with an incomplete, outdated picture of modern U.S. Navy integrated warfare. His arrogance was built on the assumption that the Gravely was an isolated asset. He did not know that his approach was not only being tracked by the Gravely's own ANBI-1DV radar, but that his entire mission profile had been predicted, analyzed, and countered by a kill chain that began 400 meters above Earth hours before his jet ever left the tarmac. The adversary was the Su-30SM, a twin-engine super-maneuverable flanker variant designed for aggressive air superiority and ground attack. This specific jet, painted in low-visibility gray and bearing the tactical designation Red 32, was piloted by Major Victor Kuzmin, a veteran known for his cowboy tactics near NATO airspace. His motive was psychological: to leverage the jet's raw power, its 16,000 kilos of thrust, and its ability to pull 9G turns to induce panic and tactical errors from the American crew. The threat was immediate and severe. Red 32 was confirmed to be carrying a full combat loadout, 2 R-77 active radar homing missiles, the Russian equivalent of the AMRA-AM, and 2 R-27ET extended-range infrared homing missiles, all capable of striking the Gravely in under 90 seconds from the jet's current distance. Kuzmin's strategy was to initiate a high-speed, low-altitude ingress drop to Sekhmene altitude to defeat the Gravely's radar horizon, then pop up at the last second to achieve a visual lock while firing off his Pisa radar's massive burst of electronic energy to temporarily overwhelm the destroyer's sensors. He intended to be a phantom that became a monster at the last moment. What Major Kuzmin didn't know was the catastrophic intelligence hole his unit had. His mission briefing was missing a critical piece of the American puzzle: the true real-time power of Cooperative Engagement Capability, or CEC. he believed he was facing one ship. In reality, he was facing an invisible, seamless network of warfighting capability that spanned airspace and sea. This technological blindness was about to transform his aggressive provocation into a career-ending, humiliating tactical defeat. The technology that nullified Red 32's threat began its work 24 hours earlier. The initial detection was not a radar blip, but an infrared signature from a U.S. Air Force S-Bears space-based infrared system satellite detecting the heat plume of the Su-30SM's engines during its pre-flight startup sequence at a base near Novorossiysk. This was the first link in the unbreakable kill chain. This data, refined with overhead synthetic aperture radar SR imagery from a KH-11 spy satellite confirming the flanker's full combat loadout, was instantly fused, encrypted, and relayed via the U.S. military's secret jam-proof spaceground network into the Gravely's Combat Information Center. It arrived not as a warning, but as a fully developed fire control solution detailing the jet's expected flight path, maximum speed, and weapon release envelope. The Gravely was then able to silently leverage the eyes of its allies. An E-2D advanced Hawkeye radar picket aircraft flying 300 meters away over Romania was using its massive ANAP-1 UHF radar to paint the entire Black Sea littoral via the high-speed link 16 data sharing network and CEC, the cooperative engagement capability. The Gravely's Aegis system was seeing the Su-30 not just with its own A and Spy 1DV radar, but through the Hawkeye's clearer, longer-range view. This is system of systems decoding and action. The Gravely didn't need to risk its own powerful radar signature. It was passively tracking the threat using the Hawkeye's eyes. The Aegis Baseline 9 system, the destroyer's core brain, instantly created 18 simultaneous intercept tracks, preparing to deploy its primary defensive weapon, the Standard Missile 2, SM-2 Block 3A. The SM-2, a 15-foot-long 1,500 Labout beast with a 200 high explosive blast fragmentation warhead, is powered by a solid fuel rocket motor that pushes it past Mach 3.5. Inside, the Gravely's VLS vertical launch system sells the 21-in wide missile stood ready. Its digital launch sequencer already armed, waiting only for the final command to launch its $500,000 kinetic answer to the Russians' $50 million threat. The climax unfolded in a rapid-fire sequence of electronic and kinetic readiness that lasted less than 40 seconds. In 10:48 a.m., Red 32 crosses the 20 nautical mile line, the point where the Aegis system considers a target a high-value threat. Lieutenant Commander Chen orders a change of state set condition 1, Zulu weapons free. Engage on my command. Tayo is fire control on the bridge. The ship accelerates to 28 knots. Opt to 10:40 a.m. Major Kuzman's powerful Nerwell MBA bars. Piece of passive electronically scanned array. Radar goes into a continuous target illumination mode. The universally recognized signal for an imminent missile launch. The blare of the Gravely's electronic warfare suite. The ANSL Q-32V. Slick 32 screams its alert missile launch warning threat designated Bogey 10:48 a.m. Before a single alarm finished sounding, the Aegis system had already calculated the precise point in space where the flanker's missile, if launched, would need to be intercepted. The SM-2 launch sequence entered its final holding pattern, the computer showing a 99.8% and 8% probability of kill him in 10:48 a.m. Red 32 is now only 8 nautical miles out, Major Kuzman banks hard dropping to 100 FT above the waves, pushing his jet to nearly Mach 1.5, preparing to pop up for a simulated gun run. This is the moment he expects the US ship to panic, to swerve, or to flood the airwaves with desperate warnings. Instead, the Gravely remains silent, its core steady, a mountain of technological composure. R10, 48:27 a.m. The turning point. This is when the Gravely delivered its silent professional knockout blow. Lieutenant Commander Chen did not launch a kinetic missile. Instead, she ordered initiate full P-spectrum EW-launched Nulka. The ANSLQ-32 Slick 32 system unleashed a perfectly calibrated burst of high-powered digitally coded electromagnetic energy. It wasn't simple jamming, it was electronic spoofing. Red 32's cockpit immediately plunged into chaos. Major Kuzman's radar screen didn't go blank. It suddenly painted the Gravely as a massive phantom target 10 km to the south while simultaneously displaying 12 incoming Mach 3 missiles from the north, all generated by the Gravely's digital deception. Simultaneously, a 7-foot-long rocket-propelled active decoy, the Nulka system, launched vertically from the Gravely's deck. It hovered 100 ft above the water, transmitting a radar signature 100 times larger than the destroyer itself, specifically tuned to attract the seeker head of an R-77 missile. The message: "We see you. We have defeated your radar lock, and we have a superior decoy already airborne for your incoming missile." Yammer 10, 48:30 a.m. Red 32, now just 5 nautical miles out, suddenly breaks its aggressive vector. Kuzmin, seeing his sophisticated fire control radar completely overwhelmed by phantom contacts and his primary target suddenly appearing to move in an impossible direction, knows he has failed. His own training dictates that if the radar picture is unreliable, a missile launch is guaranteed to be a fratricide. The fear in his voice is palpable as he screams into his radio, "Bogey! Bogey! System! Failure! Aborting!" 10:48 a.m. The flanker engine screaming pulls into a steep 8G climb, desperately trying to gain altitude to escape the electronic chaos below. The aftermath was silent, but the strategic reverberations were immense. As Major Kuzmin's Su-30SM fled the scene, heading northwest with its pilot visibly rattled and its mission a catastrophic failure. The USS Gravely's mission was just beginning. The Gravely's ANSLQ-32EW system had not just defeated the Russian jet. It had performed a devastating act of electronic intelligence collection. Every second of Red 32's radar emissions weighing its frequency hopping patterns, the specific digital pulse repetition interval used to illuminate the target, and the precise moment its systems collapsed under the American electronic attack. It was all logged, time-stamped, and cataloged. The raw data was immediately compressed and forwarded to U.S. Cyber Command via a satellite link. The tactical result was a non-kinetic kill. The U.S. Navy traded zero physical damage for an intelligence coup worth millions. The price paid by the adversary was a humiliating exposure of their most advanced fighters' electronic vulnerabilities. The Russian unit's attempt to test NATO's defensive posture resulted in handing the Americans a cheat sheet for defeating the Su-30SM and its entire fleet of associated systems. The Gravely's professionalism ensured no shots were fired, preserving the strategic peace, while its technology ensured the U.S. decisively won the tactical engagement, proving the American adage, "The seas are governed not by who shouts the loudest, but by who processes data the fastest." The crew of the Gravely, standing down from general quarters, felt the rush of adrenaline subside, replaced by a quiet sense of satisfaction. They hadn't just saved their ship, they had just redefined the rules of electronic engagement for the entire Black Sea theater. This silent victory in the Black Sea delivers a powerful, undeniable takeaway. In modern military confrontation, the speed of information is definitively more important than the speed of the bullet. Major Kuzmin's Su-30SM, a Mach 1.5 weapon platform, was rendered strategically helpless because its analog error mentality was pitted against an integrated real-time digital defense. The Russian pilot was confident in his single platform superiority, failing to grasp that he was not engaging a single warship, but an entire system of systems, a kill chain stretching from space to the surface that shared data at the speed of light. The core message is this: never engage in a technology war with an opponent who has defined the rules of the game. The U.S. Navy, with its KH-11 satellites, E-2D Hawkeye airborne radar, Link 16 data sharing, and Aegis Baseline 9, has built an information sea-centric war machine that processes, predicts, and preempts threats before the pilot can even blink. The fate of Major Kuzmin's mission was sealed when his engine first started because the U.S. already had a complete actionable fire control solution long before he ever reached the horizon. The interception in the Black Sea wasn't about a close call. It was a professional, cold-blooded lesson in deterrence. The American response was a silent promise: if you try to exploit the seams, you will only find an unbreakable net. The question for you is, if the ASLQ-32 can digitally spoof and paralyze a $50 million fighter jet, what chance do older, non-integrated Russian platforms stand against the full spectrum of U.S. electronic warfare? Comment below with your thoughts on this new era of non-kinetic dominance.